They said Seoul was the last place Amaka should ever be. But on a rainy Thursday night, as sirens wailed in the distance and a black SUV skidded to a stop in front of her hospital, she realized fate didn't need permission to rewrite her story. Inside that blood-stained SUV were two men, two kings in their own worlds. One, the billionaire heir of South Korea's largest tech empire. The other, a ruthless mafia prince feared across 3 continents. Both of them would fall for the same woman. And tonight, one of them was dying. And only she could save him. What she didn't know was this. Saving him would start a war. A war for her heart and her life. If you're new here, kindly hit the subscription button, like and share this channel to others. This really goes a long way to help this channel with more romance stories. The rain in Seoul didn't fall, it attacked. Sharp, cold and relentless, it drenched the city in silver streaks that blurred neon lights into watercolor smears. Inside Yuha Medical Center's emergency department, nurse Amaka Chidubem tightened her ponytail and rubbed the bridge of her nose. She'd been on her feet for 14 hours straight, and she was beginning to feel every second. Being a Nigerian nurse in South Korea came with its challenges, language barriers, curious stares and patients who didn't know how to react to her dark skin and confident stride. But Amaka never backed down from a challenge. Not when she'd fought to pay her way through school, not when she'd lost her father, and definitely not now when saving lives was her calling. Just as she reached for her chart, the overhead doors slammed open. Trauma incoming.
Patient coming through. Clear the way.
He's hypotensive. Get him stabilized. Trauma Bay 1 is ready,
shouted one of the paramedics. But this wasn't a regular trauma. 2 men, large, muscular, dressed in black tactical coats, stormed in pushing a stretcher between them. The smell of blood hit Amaka instantly, metallic and thick. On the stretcher lay a man whose life was hanging by a thread. GSW to the abdomen, one guard barked. He's losing blood fast. The nurses froze. Because the man on the stretcher wasn't some random victim. It was Lee Minjae, the billionaire heir, the boyish-faced king of LK Technologies, a genius, a philanthropist, and one of the most protected men in the entire country. What happened? The doctor asked. Ambush, the guard muttered. We need immediate surgery. He requested this hospital. He paused, looking straight at Amaka. He asked for her specifically. Amaka blinked. Me, I don't know him. At least not yet, the guard said. Before she could question further, the doors flew open again. 4 more men marched in, this time in black leather coats with embroidered red dragons on the sleeves. Amaka's heart stuttered. Red dragon symbols meant only one thing. The Jiangsu Mafia. At their center stood a man who moved like a shadow, quiet, lethal, graceful. Jinwoo Kang, the Mafia prince, and Minjae's oldest rival. His cold eyes landed on the stretcher, then on Amaka. Is he dead? Jinwoo asked calmly. No, Amaka said, stepping in front of Minjae's body protectively. He can survive if you let us do our job. Jinwoo's lips curled, not in amusement but in interest. You must be the Nigerian nurse my men mentioned. And you must be the distraction. Her tone was sharp. A low ripple of shock ran through the paramedics. Only Jinwoo smiled. Interesting. Amaka ignored him and rolled the stretcher toward the OR. But as she pushed Minjae through the hallway, something impossible happened. His hand, cold and bloody, reached out and grabbed hers. His eyes flickered open, just long enough for 3 whispered words. Don't trust him. Then his pulse dropped. And Amaka's life changed forever. The surgery room exploded into movement, scrub techs, surgeons, anesthesiologists. Amaka slipped into her gown, her hands shaking slightly. She had assisted in hundreds of surgeries, but never one involving a man whose face was on billboards, magazines, and international tech conferences. Minjae's body was a battleground. 3 gunshot wounds, a collapsed lung, 2 arteries shredded. As they worked, the chief surgeon barked orders, and Amaka moved with practiced precision, suction, clamp, retractor, until blood loss stabilized. BP rising, the anesthesiologist called. He's fighting, Amaka whispered. Hours passed. Finally, the surgeon exhaled. He'll live thanks to all of you. But Amaka felt it deep in her bones. This wasn't over. When she stepped out of the OR, Jinwoo was there, leaning casually against the wall, hands in pockets. You saved his life, he said. I save lives, that's my job. Not lives like his, Jinwoo replied. Not lives worth billions. I don't care about money. Good, he murmured, because Minjae will owe you something even money can't buy. Amaka stiffened. And what about you? She asked boldly. Why are you here? Jinwoo stepped closer, lowering his voice. Because when someone tries to kill my rival. He paused. It's usually a message for me. Before she could respond, Minjae's guards returned. Miss Amaka, Mr. Lee wants to speak with you privately. He's awake already. No, but he will want answers when he wakes. And what about him? She asked, pointing to Jinwoo. We'll handle that, the guard said. But Jinwoo's eyes told her the truth. No one handled him. He handled others. And for some reason she didn't understand yet. He had noticed her. The next morning, Seoul smelled like fresh rain and danger. Amaka had finished her shift and was about to catch the bus when one of Minjae's security officers approached her. Mr. Lee has requested your presence. He's awake. Yes, and he insists on seeing you immediately. Amaka sighed. I'm off duty. He knows, he said to tell you, please. That one word changed everything. Minjae was sitting up when she entered his VIP recovery room, pale, handsome, with dark hair tousled against his pillow. His voice was soft. You saved my life. I just did my job, Amaka replied. He shook his head. Not everyone would have fought as hard as you did. He paused. You have steady hands and kind eyes. Her heart skipped. This man was too smooth. Too charming. Too dangerous in an entirely different way from Jinwoo. Why did you ask for me? Amaka asked. Minjae hesitated. Because I saw you in the hallway earlier that day. Her eyes widened. That was my first time seeing you. Not mine, he whispered. You smiled at a crying child. I don't know why, but it stayed with me. Before she could respond, the door burst open. Jinwoo, with no guards, no permission, just effortless confidence. Visiting hours aren't open to criminals, Minjae said coldly. And hospitals aren't safe for princes who can't dodge bullets, Jinwoo countered. Amaka stepped between them instinctively. Both of you calm down. Both men froze. Both stared. And both, for some reason she couldn't understand, listened to her. You, Jinwoo said, nodding at her, walk with me. She's not going anywhere with you, Minjae snapped. She can choose for herself, Jinwoo replied. Amaka crossed her arms. I'm not leaving my patient. That patient is bait, Jinwoo said. Someone wanted him dead, and next time they won't miss. His voice dropped low. You're standing too close to something that's about to explode. Amaka swallowed. For the first time she felt afraid. Because Jinwoo wasn't threatening her. He was warning her. And Minjae's silence confirmed it. Amaka tried to resume her normal routine, home, work, home, sleep, but Seoul no longer felt like the same city. Minjae texted her twice, gentle check-ins. Jinwoo appeared once, silent, observing, as if guarding her from shadows she couldn't see. And then everything snapped. 3 nights after the surgery, Amaka left her shift and walked into the dimly lit parking lot. She sensed it immediately. She wasn't alone. A figure stepped out from behind a black motorcycle. You're Amaka, right? Before she could run, he grabbed her wrist. A cold blade pressed against her arm. Stay away from Lee, Minjae, or next time it won't be him bleeding. Panic shot through her chest. I don't know anything. That's the problem, he hissed. A second man appeared. And a third. Her breath caught. This was it. This was how she died. Then, bam, a motorcycle crashed through the parking lot gate. A man kicked one attacker square in the face and skidded to a stop in front of her. Helmet off. Black hair. Dark eyes. Jaw sharp enough to cut glass. Jinwoo. Touch her again, he growled, and I'll send your families the ashes. The three men bolted. Jinwoo turned to her. You see now. His voice was soft. Minjae wasn't the only target. He paused. You're in this now, and I won't let them take you. Amaka's legs buckled. She didn't know if she was trembling from fear, or from the way Jinwoo was looking at her like she was something precious. Something worth protecting. Jinwoo insisted on taking her home. Not suggested. Insisted. Amaka sat behind him on the motorcycle, arms reluctantly wrapped around his waist as they sped through Seoul's night streets. The city lights blurred. Her heartbeat matched the roar of the engine. When they reached her apartment, Jinwoo walked her to the door. You're not safe alone anymore, he said. I can take care of myself. No, he interrupted softly, not against these men. Amaka folded her arms. Why do you care? Jinwoo stepped closer. So close she could feel his breath. Because I protect what interests me. Her breath caught. And I interest you, she whispered. His eyes darkened. More than I should. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. A message from Minjae. Is everything okay? I can send a car for you. She looked up. Jinwoo had seen it. His jaw clenched. You should rest, he said tightly, turning away. But before he left, he added in a low voice. This fight between Minjae and me, it was never supposed to involve anyone else. His eyes softened. Until you. He walked into the night. And Amaka, alone in her doorway, realized something terrifying. Two of the most powerful men in Korea had noticed her, wanted her, and were about to go to war because of her. Sleep didn't come that night. Amaka lay in her small apartment, staring at the ceiling fan as it rotated in lazy circles. The walls were thin, and she could hear her neighbor's television playing a late-night drama. The exaggerated gasps and romantic music felt almost mocking now. Two of the most powerful men in Korea had noticed her, wanted her, and were about to go to war because of her. The thought kept circling in her mind like a vulture. She was a nurse, a Nigerian woman who had scraped and sacrificed to build a life here. She had no family in Seoul, no powerful connections, no safety net. Her mother was back in Lagos, calling every Sunday to ask when she would come home and marry a proper Igbo man. Her younger brother, Chukwumeka, was finishing university on the money she sent monthly. She was not built for this world of bullets and billionaires. And yet here she was. Her phone buzzed again at 2:47 a.m. Minjae, I know it's late, but I can't stop thinking about you. She stared at the message, her thumb hovering over the keyboard. What was she supposed to say? That a mafia prince had just saved her life? That she was terrified and confused and didn't understand why any of this was happening? Instead she typed, I'm fine, please rest, you're still recovering. His response came immediately, I recover faster knowing you're safe. She put the phone face down on her nightstand. But even as she closed her eyes, it wasn't Minjae's gentle words that echoed in her mind. It was Jinwoo's voice. I protect what interests me. The next morning, Amaka forced herself through her routine. Shower, jollof rice reheated from 2 days ago, strong coffee with too much sugar, hair wrapped in a silk scarf before she tied it back into her signature ponytail. She looked at herself in the mirror, dark skin glowing despite the exhaustion, eyes still sharp, jaw set with the stubborn determination her father had always praised. Amaka, you have the spirit of a lion, he used to say. Never let anyone cage you. She missed him every single day. The walk to the bus stop felt different now. Every shadow seemed deeper. Every passing car made her flinch. When a motorcycle rumbled past, her heart seized until she saw it was just a delivery driver. She hated this. She hated feeling afraid. At the hospital, Dr. Park pulled her aside almost immediately. Nurse Chidubem, a word. Amaka followed her into the staff office, where two men in expensive suits were already waiting. These gentlemen are from LK Technologies, Dr. Park explained. They have a request. The taller man stepped forward. Miss Amaka, Mr. Lee Minjae is being transferred to a private recovery facility. He has personally requested that you accompany him as his primary care nurse. Amaka blinked. I'm sorry. It's a contracted position, temporary, 3 months fully paid with accommodations provided. The salary, the second man added, sliding a folder across the table, is substantial. Amaka opened the folder. Her breath caught. The number had too many zeros. This is more than I make in 3 years. Mr. Lee values expertise, the first man said, and discretion. Dr. Park's expression was unreadable. The hospital has already approved a leave of absence, should you choose to accept. Amaka's mind raced. This wasn't just a job offer. This was Minjae pulling her into his world, wrapping her in golden chains disguised as opportunity. I need time to think, she said. The men exchanged glances. Mr. Lee anticipated that response. The taller one placed a card on the table. You have until tomorrow evening, but Miss Amaka, he paused. He wanted me to tell you that this isn't about the surgery, he simply wants you near. They left. Dr. Park sighed. I don't know what you've gotten yourself into, Amaka, but be careful. Men like Lee Minjae don't make requests, they make acquisitions. Amaka threw herself into work, hopping the rhythm of vitals and charts, and patient care would quiet her mind. It didn't. By noon, her phone had 3 more messages from Minjae, each more personal than the last. I hope you're considering my offer. The facility has a garden. I thought of you when I saw the flowers. I'm not used to waiting for anyone, but for you I would wait forever. She didn't respond. Not because she wasn't tempted, but because she didn't trust herself to make the right choice. During her lunch break, she sat alone in the hospital courtyard, picking at a kimbap roll she'd bought from the cafeteria. The rain had stopped, but the sky remained heavy with clouds, as if Seoul itself was holding its breath. You look like you're carrying the weight of the world. The voice came from behind her. Amaka turned and nearly choked on her rice. Jinwoo. He was dressed differently today. No leather jacket, no tactical edge. Instead, he wore a simple black turtleneck and tailored pants, his hair pushed back, his face almost boyish. If she didn't know who he was, she might have mistaken him for a model or an actor. How did you get in here? She demanded. I walked through the front door, he said, sitting beside her uninvited. Hospitals have terrible security. You can't just. Relax, he held up his hands. I'm not here to cause trouble. Then why are you here? Jinwoo reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. He placed it on the bench between them. Open it. Amaka stared at him. Is this a bomb? His lips twitched. You watch too many dramas. Reluctantly, she opened the box. Inside was a necklace, delicate silver, with a small pendant shaped like a lion's head. It's a tracking device, Jinwoo said, disguised as jewelry. Amaka's jaw dropped. You want me to wear a tracker? I want you to stay alive. His voice was suddenly serious. The men who attacked you last night, they weren't random thugs. They were hired assassins from the Snake Syndicate, the same people who tried to kill Minjae. Amaka's blood ran cold. Why would they care about me? Because you're leverage now. Jinwoo leaned closer. Minjae is obsessed with you. Everyone knows it. That makes you valuable. And valuable people in this world either get protected or eliminated. She pushed the box back toward him. I don't want your tracker. Then take my number. He pulled out a card, plain black, with only a phone number printed in silver ink. Call me if anything happens, day or night. Amaka hesitated. Why are you helping me? Jinwoo was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was softer than she'd ever heard it. Because you're the first person in years who looked at me like I was human, not a monster, not a criminal, just a man. He stood. Think about the offer, Amaka. but remember, Minjae's world is gilded, mine is honest. He walked away, disappearing into the hospital corridors like smoke. Amaka looked down at the black card in her hand. 2 kings, 2 worlds. And she was standing at the crossroads. The next evening, Amaka made her decision. She accepted Minjae's offer. Not because of the money, not because of his charm, but because if danger was coming for her anyway, she'd rather face it with resources than without. At least that's what she told herself. The LK Technologies car arrived at exactly 7 p.m., a sleek black Mercedes with tinted windows and leather seats that probably cost more than her entire apartment. Amaka had packed light, 2 suitcases, her laptop, a worn Bible her father had given her, and the silver lion necklace Jinwoo had left behind. She didn't know why she'd kept it. She told herself it was practical. A tracking device could save her life. But deep down, she knew the truth. Some part of her wasn't ready to let go of him either. The drive took them out of central Seoul, through winding mountain roads, until they reached a compound that looked more like a palace than a medical facility. "This is a recovery center," Amaka asked the driver. "Mr. Lee's private estate," he replied. "The medical wing was built specifically for his needs." The gates opened automatically, revealing manicured gardens, a koi pond, and a main house that sprawled across the hillside like a sleeping dragon. Minjae was waiting at the entrance. He was standing, which surprised her. It had only been a few days since his surgery. "You shouldn't be on your feet," she said immediately. He smiled. "I wanted to greet you properly." He was dressed in a cream-colored silk robe, his hair freshly washed and swept back from his forehead. Even recovering from near death, he looked like he belonged on the cover of a magazine. "Welcome to my home, Amaka." She looked around, taking in the sheer scale of wealth surrounding her. "This is a lot." "Too much?" he asked, genuine concern in his voice. "Different," she said carefully. "I'm used to hospital rooms and bus stops." Minjae stepped closer. "Then let me show you a different world." He held out his hand. She hesitated, but something in his eyes, vulnerable, hopeful, almost boyish, made her reach out. When their fingers touched, she felt electricity. Not the dangerous kind she felt with Jinwoo. Something warmer. Something that felt like the beginning of something beautiful. The first week at the estate was surreal. Amaka had her own suite, larger than her entire apartment back in the city. The bathroom had a soaking tub overlooking the mountains. The closet was already filled with clothes in her size, tags still attached. "I took the liberty of ordering a few things," Minjae had said casually. "I hope you don't mind." She did mind, but she also understood that this was how men like him showed care, through gestures, through gifts, through the language of luxury. Her duties were simple: monitor his vitals, change his dressings, ensure he didn't overexert himself. The estate had a full medical team on standby, but Minjae dismissed them whenever Amaka was present. "I only trust you," he said one evening as she checked his blood pressure. "You barely know me." "I know enough." His eyes were soft. "I know you're brave, I know you're kind, I know you don't look at me and see dollar signs." Amaka pulled back the stethoscope. "I look at you and see a man who almost died, that's what I see." "Is that all?" She was quiet. Because no, it wasn't all. She was starting to see the person beneath the empire, the man who read poetry at night, the man who donated millions to orphanages but never announced it publicly, the man who asked about her family, her dreams, her fears, and actually listened to the answers. Minjae was gentle where Jinwoo was sharp. He was sunlight where Jinwoo was shadow. And slowly, dangerously, she was warming to his light. 10 days into her stay, Amaka woke to find a single rose on her pillow. Attached was a note in Minjae's elegant handwriting. "Meet me in the garden at sunset, please." She found him by the koi pond, dressed in a dark blue suit despite having nowhere formal to go. "You're overdressed for a fish pond," she teased. He turned and her breath caught, because he was holding a small box. "Before you panic," he said quickly, "it's not a ring." She exhaled, "Thank God." He laughed, a genuine, warm sound that softened his entire face. It's something I had made for you. He opened the box. Inside was a bracelet, gold delicate with tiny charms shaped like Africa and Korea, linked together by a small heart. I know you miss home, he said softly. I know this world isn't yours, but I wanted you to know that, wherever you are, whoever you're with, both places live in your heart. Amaka felt tears prick her eyes. No one had ever given her something so thoughtful. Minjae, you don't have to say anything, he stepped closer, just let me put it on you. She held out her wrist. His fingers brushed her skin as he clasped the bracelet. And when he looked up, his eyes were shining. Amaka, he whispered, I know we've only known each other a short time. I know this situation is complicated, but I need you to understand something. What? I'm falling for you. The words hung in the air like cherry blossoms in spring. Amaka's heart raced. Minjae, you don't have to answer, he interrupted gently. I just needed you to know, because in my world people lie constantly, they manipulate, they scheme, but with you, I want to be honest, I want you to know exactly what I feel. He took her hands in his. I'm falling for you, Amaka Chidubem, and whatever comes next, I want to face it with you. She looked at him, this beautiful, broken, brilliant man, and felt something crack open inside her chest. But before she could respond, her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She answered instinctively. Hello. Get out of that house. Jinwoo's voice was cold, urgent. What? They're coming, tonight, you need to leave now. The line went dead. Amaka's face must have changed, because Minjae immediately tensed. What's wrong? I don't know, someone just called and... An explosion rocked the estate. Windows shattered. Alarms screamed. And in the distance, Amaka saw flames rising from the east wing. Minjae moved faster than a man still recovering from surgery should have been able to. He grabbed Amaka's hand and pulled her toward the main house, shouting orders into his phone as security personnel flooded the grounds. Get the panic room ready. I want all non-essential staff evacuated. Where is my head of security? But Amaka's mind was elsewhere. Jinwoo had known. He had warned her, which meant either he had sources inside the estate, or he knew something about this attack that Minjae didn't. They reached the interior of the main house just as another explosion rocked the compound, closer this time. Amaka stumbled and Minjae caught her, his arms surprisingly strong. This way, he said, guiding her down a hidden corridor behind a bookshelf. You have secret passages. I have a lot of things I haven't shown you yet. The corridor led to a reinforced room deep beneath the estate. Steel walls, independent ventilation, and enough supplies to last weeks. Stay here, Minjae said, pressing his palm to a biometric scanner. The door hissed open. My team will handle this. You can't go out there, you're not fully healed. Amaka, he turned, his face lit by the emergency lighting. Someone is trying to destroy everything I've built, kill everyone I care about. He touched her cheek. I can't hide while they threaten you. Minjae, promise me you'll stay here. His voice was firm but gentle. Promise me. She nodded, even though everything in her screamed to follow. He kissed her forehead, a brief, tender gesture, and then he was gone, the door sealing behind him. Amaka stood in the silence of the panic room, her heart pounding. She was safe, but she didn't feel safe. Because somewhere out there 2 men were fighting, one to protect his empire, one to what? She still didn't understand Jinwoo's role in all of this. Her phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. Are you safe? Jinwoo. I'm in a panic room, she typed back. What's happening? The Snake Syndicate made their move. They're not after Minjae this time. Then whose? A long pause. Then you. Amaka's blood turned to ice. What? They know you're valuable to both of us. They think taking you will end the rivalry, force us to negotiate. I'm not a bargaining chip. No, you're not, which is why I'm coming to get you. Jinwoo, the estate is under attack. I know, I'm already inside. The line went dead. Amaka stared at her phone, her mind racing. He was here. Inside the estate. During an attack he somehow knew was coming. Either Jinwoo was her savior or her destroyer. And she still couldn't tell which. 20 minutes passed. Then 30. The panic room was soundproof, but Amaka could feel vibrations through the floor, explosions, gunfire, chaos. Her nursing training kicked in. She assessed the room's supplies, medical kit, water, protein bars, flashlights. If this became a siege situation, she could survive for days. But waiting was agony. Then the biometric scanner beeped. The door hissed open. Amaka grabbed a fire extinguisher, the only weapon she could find, and held it ready. But it wasn't an attacker. It was Jinwoo. He was bleeding from a gash on his forehead, his leather jacket torn, his knuckles scraped raw. But he was alive, and he was looking at her with an intensity that made her grip on the fire extinguisher falter. "How did you get in here?" she demanded. "I have my ways. This room has biometric security." "Amaka," he stepped forward. "We don't have time. The Snake Syndicate has breached the east perimeter. Minjae's security is overwhelmed. We need to move, now." "Move where?" "Somewhere they won't find you." She shook her head. "I'm not leaving without knowing Minjae is safe." Something flickered in Jinwoo's eyes. Frustration, jealousy. "He's fighting his own battle. Let him. He's injured. He shouldn't be fighting at all." "And yet he is, because that's who he is." Jinwoo's voice was bitter. The noble prince, the hero, always doing the right thing for the cameras. "You don't know him." "I know him better than anyone." Jinwoo's jaw tightened. "We grew up together, Amaka. Before he was a billionaire, before I was a mafia prince, we were brothers." Amaka stared at him. "Brothers? A story for another time." He held out his hand. "Right now I need you to trust me." She looked at his hand, bloodied, scarred, dangerous. Then she looked at his eyes, dark, desperate, and somehow pleading. "If I come with you," she said slowly, "and anything happens to Minjae, I will never forgive you." "I know. And if you're using me as a pawn in whatever game you're playing." "I'm not." "How do I know that?" Jinwoo stepped closer, so close she could smell gunpowder and rain on his skin. "Because if I wanted to use you," he murmured, "I would have let them take you. Instead, I'm risking everything to save you." His voice dropped to a whisper. "Doesn't that tell you something?" Amaka's resolve wavered. She took his hand. They moved through the chaos like ghosts. Jinwoo knew the estate's layout better than he should have. Every corridor, every hidden door, every blind spot in the security cameras. "How do you know this place so well?" Amaka asked as they ran. "I helped design it." "What?" "Later, keep moving." They emerged into the gardens, where the koi pond was now stained red with blood. Bodies littered the ground, some in black tactical gear, others in the uniforms of Minjae's security team. Amaka's nursing instinct screamed at her to stop, to help, to save. But Jinwoo pulled her forward. "They're gone, focus on the living." They reached a motorcycle hidden in the trees, the same one he'd used to save her before. "Get on." Amaka climbed behind him, wrapping her arms around his waist as he kicked the engine to life. They sped through the estate's back exit, past burning guard stations and overturned vehicles. And then they were free. The mountain road stretched ahead of them, dark and winding. But Amaka couldn't shake the image of the koi pond, the blood, the bodies, the destruction. Or the bracelet still clasped around her wrist. Minjae's gift. A reminder of everything she was leaving behind. Jinwoo took her to a place she never would have expected, the kind of place that felt forgotten by time. "A temple?" Amaka asked as they walked through the wooden gates. "My mother's family has owned this land for generations," Jinwoo explained. "No one knows it belongs to me, not even Minjae." The main hall was simple but beautiful, paper lanterns, worn wooden floors, the faint scent of incense lingering in the air. An elderly monk emerged from the shadows, his face kind and lined with age. Young master, he said, bowing, it's been years. Master Hyan, Jinwoo returned the bow with genuine respect. I apologize for the sudden visit. You are always welcome here. The monk's eyes shifted to Amaka. And your guest? Under my protection. Master Hyan nodded slowly. I will prepare the guest quarters. As the monk shuffled away, Amaka turned to Jinwoo. You have a lot of secrets. Everyone does. Not everyone has a secret temple. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Fair point. He led her to a small room with sliding paper doors and a futon on the floor. It was sparse but clean, with a view of the moonlit mountains. You'll be safe here, he said. Rest, we'll talk in the morning. He turned to leave. Jinwoo. He stopped. Thank you, she said quietly, for saving me again. He was silent for a moment, then, don't thank me yet, this is far from over. The door slid shut, and Amaka was alone with her thoughts. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flames, blood, Minnie's face as he walked into danger. Was he alive? Was he hurt? Was he looking for her? Around 3 a.m., she gave up and wandered into the temple's courtyard. The mountain air was crisp and cold, and the stars above were more vivid than anything she'd ever seen in Lagos or Seoul. She found Jinwoo sitting by a stone lantern, staring at the sky. Can't sleep either, she asked, sitting beside him. I rarely sleep, he admitted, not properly. Nightmares. A pause, memories. They sat in silence for a while, the only sound the rustle of wind through the pines. You said you and Minnie were brothers, Amaka finally said. What did you mean? Jinwoo exhaled slowly. We grew up together, same neighborhood, same struggles. His father was a factory worker who got lucky with investments. My father was less legitimate. He picked up a small stone and turned it over in his fingers. Minnie and I were best friends. We dreamed of building something together, a company that would change the world. He would handle the tech, I would handle the business. What happened? His father's investments paid off. Suddenly they weren't poor anymore, they were wealthy, and wealth changes people. His voice hardened. Minnie's father saw me as a liability, a reminder of where they came from. He forbade Minnie from seeing me, threatened to disown him if he didn't cut ties. And Minnie, Jinwoo's jaw clenched, chose his inheritance. Amaka felt a pang of sympathy. So you became rivals. I became the monster they always feared I would be. He tossed the stone into the darkness. If they wanted a villain, I would give them one. But you're not a villain, Amaka said softly. Villains don't save people. Jinwoo looked at her, really looked at her, with an expression she couldn't quite read. You see good in people who don't deserve it. Maybe I see what's actually there. The tension between them crackled like static. Jinwoo reached out, his fingers brushing a strand of hair from her face. His touch was featherlight, almost hesitant. You're dangerous, he murmured. Me? You make me want things I've spent years convincing myself I don't need. Amaka's thought hammered. What things? He leaned closer, his breath warm against her skin. A reason to stop running. The moment stretched, fragile and electric. But before anything could happen, his phone buzzed. He pulled back, checking the screen. His face went pale. What is it? Amaka asked. Minnie, his voice was tight. He's alive, but he's calling a press conference tomorrow. A press conference, after everything that happened. He's making a public statement. Jinwoo's eyes were dark. About you. The next morning, Amaka watched the press conference on an ancient television in the temple's common room. Minnie stood at a podium, bandaged but composed, flanked by security and legal teams. Behind him, the LK Technologies logo gleamed. He looked different, harder. The boyish warmth was gone, replaced by something cold and corporate. Last night, my estate was attacked by criminal elements seeking to destabilize my company and harm those close to me, he began. I am grateful for the bravery of my security team, several of whom gave their lives to protect me. A pause. But I am here to address a more personal matter. Amaka's stomach dropped. For the past 2 weeks I have been recovering under the care of an extraordinary woman, a nurse, a healer, someone who saw me not as a billionaire but as a patient in need. He looked directly into the camera. Her name is Amaka Chidubem, and I am in love with her. The room exploded with questions, cameras flashed, reporters shouted. Minjae held up his hand. I know this is unconventional, I know our worlds are different, but I have never felt this way about anyone, and I refuse to hide it any longer. He paused, his voice softening. Amaka, if you're watching this, I don't know where you are, I don't know if you're safe, but I need you to know I'm coming for you, not as a billionaire, not as an heir, as the man who loves you. The screen cut to commercial. Amaka sat frozen. Jinwoo stood in the doorway, his face unreadable. He just painted a target on your back, he said quietly. He doesn't know that, Amaka whispered. He knows exactly what he did. Jinwoo's voice was bitter. This isn't a love confession, it's a declaration of war. Against who? Jinwoo met her eyes. Against me. Within hours, the story went viral. Every news outlet in Korea, and beyond, was covering the billionaire's nurse love story. Amaka's photo was everywhere. Her hospital ID, her social media profiles, even old pictures from nursing school in Nigeria. Her phone exploded with notifications, messages from her mother, her brother, old friends, strangers. Amaka, what is happening? Are you dating a billionaire? Is this real? Come home immediately. She couldn't respond to any of them, because responding meant revealing her location. And now more than ever, she needed to stay hidden. We need to move, Jinwoo said, packing supplies. This temple won't stay secret for long. Once the media starts digging, they'll find every property connected to my family. Where can we go? I have a contact in Busan, someone who owes me favors. Busan is hundreds of kilometers away. I know, he handed her a backpack, that's the point. They traveled by night, avoiding main roads and security cameras. Jinwoo had contacts everywhere, truck drivers who asked no questions, farmhouse owners who provided shelter, old gangsters who still remembered his father's name. It was a shadow network, invisible to the legal world. And it was keeping her alive. On the third night they stopped at a safe house on the outskirts of Daegu, a rundown apartment above a closed restaurant. Amaka collapsed on the worn sofa, exhaustion finally catching up with her. You need food, Jinwoo said, setting down bags of supplies, and rest. So do you. I'm used to running on nothing. She looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in days. He was thinner, paler, with dark circles under his eyes that spoke of too many sleepless nights. You're not invincible, she said softly. Never claimed to be. Then stop acting like you are. Something shifted in his expression, a crack in the armor. He sat beside her, close but not touching. Can I ask you something, he said. Depends. Minjae's confession, how did it make you feel? Amaka was quiet for a long moment. Confused, she admitted. Overwhelmed, part of me was moved. He put everything on the line, his reputation, his privacy, everything. And the other part? She looked at Jinwoo. The other part wondered why I wasn't more happy about it. The air between them thickened. Why weren't you? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Because, she struggled for words. Because when I imagine being safe, truly safe, it's not his face I see. Jinwoo went very still. Whose face do you see? Amaka's heart pounded. She should lie, she should protect herself. She should remember that this man was dangerous, complicated, and probably wrong for her in every conceivable way. But she was tired of hiding. Yours, she whispered. The word hung in the air like a held breath. Jinwoo reached out, his hand cupping her face with surprising tenderness. Do you know how long I've waited to hear you say that? Jinwoo. I've been alone my whole life, Amaka, by choice, by necessity. I built walls so high no one could climb them. His thumb traced her cheekbone. And then you walked into that hospital, stood in front of 2 warring armies, looked at me like I was worth saving. You are worth saving. You're the only one who thinks so. He leaned closer, his forehead touching hers. I'm not Minjae, he said. I can't give you press conferences and mansions and pretty words, but I can give you honesty, protection, and a heart that stopped beating for anything else the moment I met you. Amaka felt tears slip down her cheeks. This is so complicated. I know. People will get hurt. I know. I don't know if I can choose. Jinwoo pulled back slightly, his eyes searching hers. Then don't, not yet, just, let me be here, let me protect you, and when this is over, when you're safe, you can decide. And if I don't choose you? Pain flickered across his face, but he nodded. Then I'll let you go, even if it destroys me. Amaka couldn't help it. She kissed him. It was soft at first, hesitant, questioning, but when he responded, pulling her closer, the kiss deepened into something that felt like falling off a cliff and discovering you could fly. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jinwoo rested his forehead against hers. That was complicated, she finished. He laughed softly. Everything about you is complicated. Is that a problem? No, he kissed her forehead. It's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But happiness in this world was always borrowed. The next morning, Amaka woke to the sound of breaking glass. She shot upright. Jinwoo was already on his feet, a gun in his hand. Stay behind me, he ordered. The door burst open. But it wasn't the Snake Syndicate. It was Minjae's men. A dozen of them, armed and armored, with one figure walking through the center. Minjae himself. His face was pale with rage as his eyes locked on Jinwoo. Step away from her, he said, his voice deadly calm. Jinwoo didn't move. She's not your property. She's not yours either. Minjae's gaze shifted to Amaka. You kissed him. It wasn't a question. Someone had been watching, reporting. Minjae, Amaka started. Don't, his voice cracked. Don't explain, don't apologize, just, come with me please, I can protect you, I can give you everything. And what about him? She gestured to Jinwoo. Minjae's expression hardened. He's a criminal, a murderer, he'll only bring you pain. You don't know that. I know him better than you ever will. Minjae stepped forward. I know what he's capable of. Then you know I don't go down easy, Jinwoo said, raising his gun. You're outnumbered, outgunned, and you're standing between me and the woman I love. Minjae's voice was ice. Don't make me do something we'll both regret. The standoff stretched, seconds feeling like hours. Amaka looked between them, these two men who had upended her entire world. One offered light. One offered shadow. And she realized with terrifying clarity that she wanted both. But she could only have one. Stop, she said, stepping between them. Both of you just stop. Minjae's eyes softened. Amaka. I'm not a prize to be won. Her voice was stronger than she felt. I'm a person with my own choices, my own agency, and neither of you gets to decide my future. She looked at Minjae. I care about you, what you did for me, what you feel, it matters, but I can't be with someone who treats my heart like a business acquisition. Then she looked at Jinwoo. And I care about you too, but I can't be with someone who's running from everything, including himself. Both men stared at her. So here's what's going to happen, she continued. You're both going to stand down, we're all going to figure out who's trying to kill us. And when this is over, when I'm safe and the danger is past, maybe I'll be able to think clearly enough to make a choice. And if we can't wait, Minjae asked. Then you're not the men I thought you were. Silence. Then slowly Minjae lowered his hand. And Jinwoo lowered his gun. What followed was the strangest truce in Korean history. Two mortal enemies sharing a safe house united by a single goal, keeping Amaka alive. The Daegu apartment became their war room. Minjae brought in tech experts and surveillance equipment. Jinwoo contributed street intelligence and underground contacts. Together, they pieced together the puzzle of the Snake Syndicate. They're not just after Amaka, Jinwoo explained, pointing at a map covered in red pins. They're using her to get to both of us. Whoever controls her controls the narrative. Then we take away their leverage, Minjae said. How? We go public together. Jinwoo's eyebrows shot up. You want to hold a joint press conference with me? I want to show the world that whoever attacks Amaka attacks both the most powerful tech company in Korea and the most dangerous criminal organization in Asia. That's insane. That's strategy. Amaka listened to their debate, marveling at how two men who clearly hated each other could work together so effectively. It reminded her of something her father used to say: "The enemy of my enemy is my friend, until he isn't." But for now, the alliance held. 3 days into their uneasy truce, Amaka received a message she never expected. It came through Minjae's secure network, a video file from an encrypted source. When she opened it, her heart stopped. On the screen was a man she hadn't seen in years. Her uncle, Amaka Chidubem. Her father's younger brother, the one who had vanished after her father's death, taking a massive debt and darker secrets with him. "Amaka," he said, his face gaunt and tired, "if you're watching this, I'm already dead, but there are things you need to know, things about your father, about why he really died." He paused, glancing nervously off camera. "Your father didn't die of a heart attack. He was murdered by the same people who are hunting you now." Amaka's world tilted. "The Snake Syndicate isn't just a Korean organization," her uncle continued. "It has branches everywhere, including Nigeria. Your father was a witness to something he shouldn't have seen, something that connects Minjae's empire, Jinwoo's family, and powers beyond both of them." He leaned closer to the camera. "You're not caught in the middle of their war, Amaka. You're the key to ending it." The video cut to static. Amaka sat frozen, tears streaming down her face. Her father murdered, and somehow everything led back to her. The door opened. Minjae and Jinwoo entered together, their faces tense. "We found something," Minjae said, "something about the syndicate's leadership." "So did I," Amaka whispered. She turned the laptop toward them. "It's time you both saw this." They watched in silence. And when the video ended, both men looked at her with expressions she had never seen before. Fear. Because whatever game they thought they were playing, the rules had just changed completely. The revelations from Amaka's uncle unraveled everything. If what he said was true, the Snake Syndicate wasn't just a criminal organization. It was a shadow network spanning continents, with roots in corporate espionage, government corruption, and assassinations dating back decades. And somehow, Amaka's father had been involved. "We need more information," Minjae said, packing the room. "This video raises more questions than it answers." "My contacts in Lagos might know something," Amaka offered. "My father had a business partner who survived the transition. His name is Chief Okonkwo. If anyone knows what my father witnessed, it would be him." "Then we go to Lagos," Jinwoo said. "You can't just fly to Nigeria," Minjae countered. "You're a wanted man in half the world. And you're a walking target anywhere outside your corporate bubble." Jinwoo's jaw tightened. "Face it, neither of us can protect her alone." "Then we both go." The declaration hung in the air. Amaka stared at them. "You're both coming to Lagos." "Unless you have a better idea," Minjae said. She didn't. And so, against all logic, the three of them began planning a journey that would take them from the mountains of Korea to the streets of Lagos. A billionaire, a mafia prince, and a nurse caught between two worlds, flying toward answers that might destroy them all. The flight to Lagos was long and tense. Minjae had arranged a private jet, untraceable, equipped with every luxury and security measure money could buy. Jinwoo had coordinated with contacts on the ground, ensuring their arrival would be kept off official radars. Amaka spent most of the flight staring out the window, watching clouds drift past like memories. Lagos. She hadn't been home in 3 years. 3 years of phone calls and video chats and promises to visit that never materialized. 3 years of sending money while building a life on the other side of the world. What would her mother say? What would Chukwumeka think? And how was she supposed to explain the two men traveling with her, one in a designer suit, the other in leather armor, both watching her like she was the only star in their galaxy. "You're quiet," Minnie said, sitting beside her. "Thinking about home. Are you scared?" Terrified, she managed a small laugh, but also relieved it's been so long. Jinwoo was on the other side of the cabin, reviewing files on a tablet, but his eyes flickered to her constantly. "Lagos is different from Seoul," Amaka continued. "Louder, messier, more alive, you might hate it." "I could never hate anywhere you love," Minnie said softly. From across the cabin, Jinwoo made a barely audible scoff. The tension between them was still thick enough to cut. But they were here, together, for her. And that had to count for something. Lagos hit them like a tidal wave. The moment they stepped off the jet, the heat wrapped around them. Heavy, humid, demanding. The airport was chaos. People shouting in Yoruba and Igbo and Pidgin English, vendors selling everything from SIM cards to grilled suya, children running underfoot while officials in rumpled uniforms waved people through checkpoints. Minjae looked overwhelmed. His tailored suit was already wilting in the humidity. Jinwoo, surprisingly, seemed more comfortable. He moved through the crowd with the same predatory ease he showed in Seoul's shadows. "You've been to Africa before," Amaka observed. "Kenya, Tanzania, business," he didn't elaborate. A car was waiting for them, an unmarked SUV with bulletproof windows and a driver who knew not to ask questions. As they drove through the city, Amaka watched familiar sights blur past. The third mainland bridge stretching across the lagoon, the towers of Victoria Island gleaming in the distance, the markets of Yaba overflowing with fabric and electronics and life. Home. She had forgotten how much she missed it. They checked into a discreet hotel on the island, the kind that catered to politicians and diplomats, and people who valued privacy above all else. Chief Okonkwo had agreed to meet them the following day, at his compound in Lekki. But first, Amaka had another obligation. "I need to see my mother," she told Minjae and Jinwoo. "Alone." "Absolutely not," Minjae said immediately. "It's too dangerous." "She's my mother, I haven't seen her in 3 years. If something happens to me before I can explain." She trailed off. Jinwoo nodded slowly. "I'll have men watching the house discreetly, but she should go." Minjae looked like he wanted to argue, but he held his tongue. "Fine, but you take this." He handed her a small device, sleek and silver, no bigger than a coin. "Panic button, press it and we'll be there in minutes." Amaka pocketed it. "Thank you." She left before either of them could change their minds. Her mother's house was exactly as she remembered. A modest bungalow in Serula, painted the same faded blue as when her father was alive. Bougainvillea climbed the walls. The mango tree she'd played under as a child still stood in the yard, heavy with fruit. Amaka's heart ached. She knocked on the door. A moment later it opened. And there was her mother. Older, greyer, but with the same sharp eyes and warm smile that had raised Amaka through every hardship. "Amaka," her mother stared, disbelieving. "Is it really you?" "It's me, Mama." The tears came instantly. Her mother pulled her into an embrace so tight Amaka could barely breathe. They stood like that for a long time, crying together in the doorway, years of distance dissolving in a single moment. Finally, her mother pulled back, wiping her eyes. "Come inside, your brother is here. We've been watching the news. Everyone has been watching the news." "Mama, I can explain." "The billionaire," her mother's voice turned sharp. "The mafia prince, Amaka, what kind of trouble have you gotten yourself into?" "It's complicated." "It always is with you." But there was love beneath the exasperation. Inside, Chukwumeka was waiting, taller than she remembered, with their father's serious expression and their mother's determined jaw. "Sister," he hugged her briefly, "you've caused quite the scandal." "So I've heard." They sat together in the living room and Amaka told them everything. The surgery, Minjae, Jinwoo, the attacks, the snake syndicate, the video from Uncle Obana. When she finished, silence filled the room. Her mother's face was pale. "Your father," she whispered, "murdered." "That's what Uncle Obana said. I need to talk to Chief Okonkwo to learn more." "Chief Okonkwo is a dangerous man," Chukwumeka said carefully. He was involved in many things with Papa that we never understood. I know, but he's my only lead. Her mother reached out, taking Amaka's hands. Your father loved you more than anything in this world, whatever secrets he carried. He did it to protect you, to protect all of us. Amaka squeezed her hands. I know, Mama, and now it's my turn to find the truth. The next day, they drove to Chief Okonkwo's compound. It was a fortress, high walls, armed guards, security cameras watching every angle. The chief was one of Lagos's most powerful men, with fingers in oil, politics and industries better left unnamed. Amaka had met him once as a child. He'd seemed enormous then, a booming voice and expensive clothes and laughter that shook the room. Now, seated in his air-conditioned study surrounded by African art and rare books, he looked older, diminished, but his eyes were still sharp as needles. Amaka Chidubem, he smiled though it didn't reach his eyes. Your father's daughter, I see him in your face. Thank you for seeing us, Chief. Us, his gaze shifted to Minjae and Jinwoo, flanking her like mismatched bodyguards. A Korean billionaire and interesting company. They're my protection. I'm sure they are, the chief leaned back. So you received Obana's message. You knew about it. I helped him record it, before the syndicate found him. Amaka's stomach dropped. He's really dead. 2 weeks ago, his body was found in the lagoon. She felt the ground shift beneath her. Her uncle gone. Another piece of her family lost to shadows. Tell me about my father, she said, her voice harder than she'd intended. Tell me everything. Chief Okonkwo was silent for a long moment. Then he began. Your father was a good man, an honest man, but he made the mistake of seeing something he shouldn't have, a meeting between representatives of the Snake Syndicate and certain Korean interests. He glanced meaningfully at Minjae and Jinwoo. At the time the syndicate was expanding, looking for footholds in Asia. They needed partners, and they found them. In Korea. In the Lee family. Minjae went rigid. My father would never. Not your father, the chief's voice was soft. Your grandfather. The revelation hit like a thunderbolt. Grandfather, Minjae whispered. Lee Hyun-soo, the founder of LK Technologies. Before it was a tech company, it was a front for laundering syndicate money. Your family's fortune was built on blood, young man. Minjae looked like he'd been stabbed. And Jinwoo's family, Amaka asked. The chief turned to Jinwoo. Your father broke away from the syndicate years ago. It cost him everything, his reputation, his allies, eventually his life, but he refused to participate in their darker operations. Jinwoo's expression was unreadable. Amaka's father witnessed a transaction between the Lees and the syndicate, the chief continued. Documents, proof of the original partnership. He planned to expose it, but before he could. They killed him, Amaka finished. Made it look like a heart attack, very clean, very professional. Tears streamed down Amaka's face. Her father had died trying to do the right thing. And she had never known. The documents, she said, do they still exist? Chief Okonkwo smiled grimly. They do. Your father was smart. He hid copies, protected by failsafes only his blood could unlock. What does that mean? The chief reached into his desk and pulled out a small, ornate box. It means, my dear, that you are the key. He opened the box. Inside was a single item, a pendant shaped like a lion's head. Identical to the one Jinwoo had given her. This was your father's, the chief said, the twin to yours. Together they unlock a safe deposit box in Zurich. Inside are the documents that could bring down the Snake Syndicate and expose the Lee family's original sins. Amaka touched the pendant at her throat. 2 lions. 2 keys. And suddenly everything made sense. Jinwoo hadn't given her a tracker. He had given her one half of the most dangerous secret in the world. She turned to him, eyes wide. You knew. Jinwoo's face was pale. I suspected. I didn't know for certain until now. Your father gave me the pendant before he died, he continued. He told me to find the other half, to finish what Amaka's father started. I didn't understand until I met you, until I realized who you were. Minjae stared at both of them. This is insane. This is the truth, the chief said. And now you have a choice. You can walk away, pretend none of this exists, or you can go to Zurich, retrieve the documents, and bring down an empire built on corpses. He looked at all three of them. But be warned, the moment you move on those documents, the syndicate will know, and they will come for you with everything they have. Amaka looked at Minjae, at Jinwoo, at the pendants that linked her to a destiny she'd never asked for. Her father's last gift. Her uncle's final wish. The truth that could change everything. She stood. I'm going to Zurich. The flight to Switzerland was arranged within hours. But as they boarded the private jet once more, three people bound by secrets and blood, and something that might have been love, none of them saw the figure watching from the shadows of the Lagos airport. A woman, tall, elegant, with cold eyes and a phone pressed to her ear. They're moving, she said, heading to Zurich. A pause. Yes, I'll intercept them there. Another pause. No, the nurse dies last. I want her to watch everything she loves burn first. She hung up and smiled. Amaka stared out the window of the jet as Nigeria disappeared beneath the clouds, unaware that the deadliest player in this game had just entered the field. Unaware that her father's truth was about to ignite a war that would span continents. Unaware that in Zurich, buried in a vault of secrets, was a revelation that would shatter everything she thought she knew about Minjae, about Jinwoo, and about herself. Please subscribe for part 2 of the story.